Because of the constant stimulation in our modern environment, we hardly ever experience true loneliness. But what if experiencing true solitude may lead to a life-changing event? The renowned samurai Miyamoto Musashi held this belief, and as a result, he lived most of his existence isolated, practicing his trade and formulating his philosophy in his final book, Dokkodo, or The Way of Walking Alone. Musashi provided us with 21 principles that help one live a life filled with meaning and enriched by the power of solitude. Let's firstly explore who Miyamoto Musashi was before delving into the fundamental concepts he left behind. He was a renowned person, a wandering samurai without a lord. Musashi was born in 1584 in a Japan ripped apart by civil wars. Although he was an unmatched swordsman, it is his profound knowledge that has inspired people for ages. He was a thinker, an artist, and especially a fighter who triumphed in over 60 fights, many of them to the death. Yet his road was not one of unending bloodshed. Rather, it was one that led to profound reflection and knowledge. Musashi's life was characterized by his relentless pursuit of self-mastery via discipline, commitment, and, most importantly, seclusion. Musashi promoted introspection and a clean mind without interruptions as the path to self-improvement. His concept of solitude was not a monk-like existence isolated from civilization, but rather a forced state of mind where the noise of the outside world was muted. The Dokkodo of Musashi, which translates to the path of walking alone, captures this notion. He gave instruction on how to live without worry, remorse, or diversion through these commandments, emphasizing the need of staying true to oneself. Also referred to as the path of loneliness or the path of aloneness. One of the lessons Musashi imparts to us is the value of independence. In a brief piece, Musashi wrote a week before his passing in the Dokkodo, where he advises us not to pursue pleasure for its own reason. This serves as a reminder that temporary happiness brought on by approval from others or financial items does not result in lasting fulfillment. Instead, Musashi urges us to find satisfaction within ourselves, in our actions, and in our personal growth. The rule of never relying on a partial feeling is another important aspect of the Dokkodo. This encourages us to thoroughly consider our actions and their effects, rather than acting impulsively based on fleeting feelings. Our choices should be well considered, made with full awareness, and unaffected by passing emotions or other factors. Musashi also emphasizes the value of being detached from material and temporary things. In his Dokkodo, he gives the advice to let go of things you no longer need. The advice to let go of unneeded attachments is a lesson in tidying our lives both physically and intellectually. It extends beyond tangible goods to relationships, habits, and attitudes that no longer benefit us. He adds, "Do not fear death," to another commandment, which expands the potential for development and transformation. This is not a call to be irresponsible. Rather, it is a push to live completely and bravely while acknowledging that death is a part of life. It serves as a reminder to love every moment and embrace chances as they present themselves, and live each day as if it were your last. And finally, Musashi exhorts us to live a life free from desire. This teaches us to stop always desiring for more, which frequently results in discontent and unhappiness. It's about discovering how to develop ourselves while remaining grateful for what we already have. Among the lessons Musashi left us in his Dokkodo, these are only a few. They give us a roadmap for navigating life, emphasizing the importance of reflection, independence, careful thought, and detachment from the unnecessary. Now, let's explore and discover how appreciating solitude can profoundly impact our lives. The importance of solitude. Musashi's philosophy emphasized solitude, not as a means to isolation, but as a path to self-discovery and self-improvement. He believed that solitude allowed him to sharpen his mind and body without distraction, honing his skills and understanding himself at a deeper level. In the silence and peace of solitude, he found clarity freed from the influence and judgment of others. It was an opportunity for him to learn, grow, and come to terms with his own strengths and weaknesses, without the external noise that often clouds our judgment and self-perception. Musashi wrote, "Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world." He urged people to turn their focus outward, to observe, learn, and understand the world around them, while maintaining a humble sense of self. It's about removing ego and opening oneself to the vast knowledge the world has to offer. This humble self-awareness, coupled with a profound understanding of the world, forges a formidable path towards self-improvement and personal growth. But how can we apply these ancient teachings to our modern lives? Let's delve into practical ways to walk our own path of solitude, guided by Musashi's wisdom. The lessons Musashi gleaned from solitude are not just applicable to the life of a samurai, but can be carried into our lives today. Centuries later, he formulated these insights into how can we implement Musashi's lessons on solitude in our interconnected world. Since technology has brought us closer to one another than ever before, today's world is quite distinct from Musashi's time. However, while these interactions can bring us closer together, they can also keep us from fully experiencing solitude. How can we apply Musashi's lessons on solitude in our linked world, despite the fact that he emphasized the tremendous value of solitude for one's own development and self-understanding? First, by frequently removing ourselves from the stress of daily life, we can practice solitude. This could be accomplished by setting up regular times of solitude and silence, whether through contemplation, nature excursions, or simply sitting quietly in a room. During these moments, you should allow yourself to think, reflect, and simply be. Second, think about engaging in digital cleansing. We can gain the much-needed space for self-reflection and inner serenity by putting aside specific periods each day to turn off our electronics. It's a strategy for claiming autonomy from the ongoing requests for our attention and making room for isolation. Thirdly, solitude refers to more than just being physically alone. It also addresses psychological and emotional isolation. This entails learning to separate ourselves from the need for affirmation, the drive to judge others, and the desire to fit in. It's about developing the ability to stick up for our convictions and choices, even when they are unpopular. Lastly, give attention to solitude. Treat it as a necessary component of your self-care routine that cannot be compromised. Rather than viewing it as a luxury, consider it a must for personal development and self-understanding. Although the world may have changed since Musashi's time, the lessons he discovered in solitude remain relevant today. We can learn to not only be alone, but to flourish in it, finding serenity and fulfillment inside ourselves by implementing these ideas into our daily lives. Embracing solitude is not always simple. In our connected world, embracing solitude can feel odd and even unproductive because it frequently goes against our innate urges for social engagement and connection. Some people even fear solitude because they associate it with loneliness and rejection. To begin with, it's important to distinguish between solitude and loneliness. A feeling of social isolation or cutoff, loneliness is a condition of emotional anguish that is undesirable and causes a sense of detachment. On the other hand, solitude is the ability to be lonely without being lonely. It is a good and productive state of engagement with oneself. You don't need to live as a monk or hide out in an underground space to feel solitude. Instead, it's about striking a balance and incorporating calm, reflective alone time into your daily routine. In addition, keep in mind that solitude requires intention. It's a conscious decision and deliberate action that involves carving out time for your own reflections and ideas. Last but not least, learn to accept the discomfort that might come with solitude. This feeling of unease can be a sign of development, a sign that you're stretching your boundaries and venturing outside of your comfort zone.